Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever, wherever you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're going to look at saying no. This is going to be our monthly wrap up. All month long, we've been looking at how to say no to certain things in your life so that you can then say yes to those things that really truly matter. Yay! So I have some notes here because I don't want to miss anything. So we began the month with figuring out and looking at, how we feel when we say no to something and really mean it. How we feel when we say yes to something and we really mean it. And how it feels when we say yes to something that we would rather say no to. And when we look at this and we reflect at how that makes us feel, then what happens is when we go into a conversation with someone and someone asks us to do something or to participate in something, and it's a full body yes or a full body no, then we're absolutely confident in the choices that we make. But more importantly, we also looked at the detriment and all the ramifications that can happen in our life when we say yes to something that we really should have said no to because it really was not a full body yes. So we also looked at why it's really challenging sometimes to say no to people. A lot of the times we're afraid that, people are going to look down on us, they're going to be upset, they're going to be pissed off, whatever it is. And then we also looked at what could happen to ourselves when we say yes to someone that we would rather say no to. So I'm not going to reteach all of this because, again, this is what we've been looking at and digging into the entire month. We also looked at when we say no to someone, they're literally in the exact same position and space as they were before they asked you. Let's just say that you have a box of popsicles and you're eating one and somebody's like, oh my God, that looks so amazing. Can I have one? And you say no. That person still doesn't have that popsicle. Maybe you're saving the popsicles for people that are on the way to you. And maybe there's 10 popsicles in a box. You're eating one. 9 people are on the way. There you go. They're already reserved. Who knows? Maybe you just want to eat all the popsicles. That's your prerogative. But regardless, the person that asked you is still in the same position as they were before. That's huge. I know that when I heard that years ago, I was like, phew, mind blown. Huge, so good. So we also looked at this month, we looked at creating a stop doing list. This is what we're really just going to stop doing, and this is literally as matter of fact as, let's just say that you don't drink and drive, which I don't think anybody should drink and drive. I think everyone should not drink and drive. So let's just say that you're at a party and someone says, ew, would you like an alcoholic beverage? This is water, but whatever, pretend it's not. And you know that that's just something you don't do. So then you're like, no, it's a hard and fast no. You're just like, okay. So maybe from time to time you have had a cocktail or two and then chosen to get behind the wheel. That could be something that you're like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Let's just say that you automatically say yes whenever somebody asks you to bake something for a potluck or for a fundraiser or whatever, and maybe you're just not into that anymore. You can just say no. You know what I mean? And it takes practice. And that's another thing that we looked at was practicing saying no to yourself first so that when someone else asks you to do something, you already have practice saying no. Okay, so you can say no to that extra piece of cake. You can say no to the piece of cake if it makes you feel like shit. You can say no to that extra cup of coffee. You can say no to sleeping in. You can say no to whatever it is that you feel is holding you back or hindering your happiness. When you say no to things, then you automatically say yes to something else. And so that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today is some creative ways to say no. And a reminder that every time you say no to something, you're also saying yes to something else. Okay? So when you say no to that extra piece of cake, you're saying yes to feeling better in your body and maybe not gaining weight, okay? When you say no to sleeping in, maybe now you're saying yes to more time with your family, okay? So you really got to give yourself permission to look at both sides of the coin. So oftentimes people look at the no and I mean, how many times have you said, oh my God, I would love to do that, but I just don't have the time? That's because you're so busy doing stuff, okay? Several months ago, we looked at paying attention to our busy and reducing the amount of busy that we have in our life, reducing the amount of obligations that we have so that you now have time to do the things that you want to do. But part of that is saying no to those things that are not part of your priorities. That's what we did last week. We looked at what are your top 4 priorities. When you look at your top 4 priorities and ask yourself, is whatever this person is asking me to do, is this in alignment with my priorities? It might be in alignment with their priorities, but it might not be in alignment with mine. So when you can give yourself permission to look at and say, these are my priorities, that is not, although it sounds cool, I'm not really into that, so I'm gonna say no. That is huge, 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 huge. We also looked at, again, we reviewed what it looks like and feels like for us to say yes when it's a full body yes, like hell yes. We also looked at the full body no, like the drinking and driving. No, like you don't even have to think about it. And then we looked at, how to really stop doing those things and kind of do that pattern interrupt when we have that default automatic yes, what we can do to stop saying that. And again, part of it is being willing to say no to yourself so that you can say no when it really matters. Now, here's some creative ways to say no. And remember, and I know I've said this a couple times, remember, when you say no to something, you're also saying yes to something else. Okay? All right. So the first thing, when someone asks you, oh, hey, would you do blah, 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 whatever, you can simply say, if it's just really not your thing, you can be like, oh, well, thank you for, hang on, I need to mute my computer. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bunch of text messages. So you can say, thank you for thinking of me and asking me, but you know what, this just really isn't my thing. Be honest with them. Really be honest and just say, that's not my thing, You can also say, well, so let's just say that you have plans with your family this weekend, or plans to even just sit around the house and just decompress, relax, just kind of have a weekend that's just unscheduled. And maybe somebody asks you to do something over the weekend that sounds a little bit more energetic than you would want to be. You can say, thank you so much for inviting me, but, I have other plans. It doesn't matter what those other plans are. It could be giving yourself a pedicure. It could be taking naps all day long and watching Netflix. Whatever that is, self-care days are so important. You could also say, I have other priorities and I can't commit to attending that at this time. So now let's just say that someone approaches you and they're in a big hurry. They're just like, oh, I need to know now, da, 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 and they're putting that time pressure on you. Well, an easy out for that is you can say, actually, now is not a good time for me to give you an answer. I need to go home. I need to check my calendar. Give yourself permission to create that space between them and their urgency. And if they really need an answer now, then say, well, since you can't wait for me to check my calendar or whatever, and this is if you truly just don't know if you're available or not. If you are genuinely maybe interested, but you're like, I don't know yet. I need to check my calendar. I need to talk it over with my family or whomever else is involved in your schedule and planning. If they just simply can't wait for you to find that out, then you can say, well, I can't give you a definite answer right now. So in that case, take it as a no, because if you need an answer now, I can't give you one. So maybe find someone else who can give you that answer. And a lot of the times people try to do that time crunch thing to make you feel that urgency so that you'll just say, okay, yeah, sure. It's just as easy to say no as it is to say yes with practice. okay? Another thing is that if you want to just kind of feel it out and you really want to articulate mindfully your answer, create some sort of delay before answering them. And I just saw this actually on a TikTok the other day, and I loved it so much that I came in here to my outline and I added it to it because it was so good. And she said the delay is something like, before, so after they've asked you and before you answer, you can say, let me think about it for a second. And you take a deep breath. You have that pause, you count to 5, you spin your ring on your finger a few times, and you give yourself that space for reflection. And again, this is the perfect opportunity, as we talked about several weeks ago, it's the perfect opportunity for you to check in with your body to see, how does this answer feel? Like if I say yes, how am I gonna feel? If I say no, how am I gonna feel? If I say no, what am I then saying yes to? There's this fabulous quote by Courtney Carver, and she says, I don't say no because I'm busy. I say no because I don't want to be busy. That's huge. We don't have to always be scheduled. We don't always have to be doing something. We can just sit and relax. That's it. Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate that. But, we really can just chill the fuck out and not do anything. Like, you can say no just to say no because you don't want to be busy. I mean, I grew up in a family that was constantly, we never had downtime. Well, I should say, okay, rarely did we have downtime. And usually it was for a 2-hour window on Sunday afternoons, maybe. But usually everything was scheduled. Everything was pre-planned. And it was very hard for me to get into the habit and get into a routine of making space for what I wanted to do. And once I challenged that thinking of mine of you always have to be busy, say yes to everything, yada, 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 whatever, I was like, I'm done being busy. I want to be productive when I'm doing something, and I want it to be meaningful. I want it to be part of the life that I'm creating. And part of that is knowing what your priorities are. If your priorities are physical fitness, put physical fitness activities into your day. If part of your priority is health and wellness, okay, perfect. Weave that into your day. Plan your food. Plan the supplements that you take, or the food that you eat so that you don't have to take supplements, Plan, mental health days. Plan adventuring. If part of your priorities are connection with family, plan time to FaceTime your people, Snapchat with them, TikTok with them, whatever it is, text them, call them, write letters. Do those things, weave those activities into your day that are in alignment with your priorities. I have a whole series of videos on priorities, but this is huge because when you can really realize, and I'm going back to that quote, when you realize that you don't have to say yes to everything, that you can say no, not because you're busy, but because you don't want to be busy. Thank you very much, Courtney Carver. Your whole life will change. Your whole life will change. Your life is your life. And think about those people that have a life that you're maybe envious of, that they seem like they have the time for those things that really matter to them. They've probably carefully curated and crafted that life on purpose. This is how you do it. You say no to those things that just don't align with who you are. And then you also then say yes to those things that are in alignment with you. And that's how you create your dream life by default. Truly, truly. So, if you're still struggling with this, I have a quote. So, billionaire businessman, and I'm reading this verbatim, billionaire businessman Warren Buffett famously said, successful people say no to almost everything. Saying no allows you to say yes to what is important to you. It allows you to become a better person, just because when you say yes, it comes from a good place, not from a place of resentment or fear. It creates space for what matters most to you rather than drowning in busyness like most of us are. So again, you know, when you say no to something, you're actually saying yes to better mental health, more self-care, more time with your kids or your family or with your partner. You can work on your passion projects. You can start a business. You can write a book. You can have time to work out. Whatever it is, you can have time for snuggling with your dog, who's so freaking cute right now. He's like looking at me. But it's huge. And so practice saying no. Practice saying no to those things that just don't light you up and that are not in alignment with the priorities that you have in your life. And I promise you, this is going to change so much of your life for the better. And it's scary saying no when you've always said yes. I talk about that in my book. I've got a story about my sister in here. With her permission, I have used her story about how she was the go-to person for her church for funerals and weddings. She's a singer. And she learned to say no, and it was terrifying. And it's a fabulous story. If you don't have the book, grab it. I'll put the link in the comments. And it's profound what happens in your life when you can really begin to say yes to you. And in order to say yes to you and your dream life, you're going to have to say no to other things that are not in alignment. But again, the person asking is going to be in the exact same space they were after you say no as they were before. They need to then pivot and ask somebody else. Okay? So I hope this helps you. If you want my support and my help with this, and you are excited to be part of a community all doing the same thing, who are all striving to create a fabulous fabulous life, maybe I need more coffee, 1 degree at a time, what I would encourage you to do is click link number 2 in the comments below. Link number 1 is going to be for the book. Link number 2 is for the 1 Degree Shift Tribe community. Now, I want to share with you what we're talking about next month. We're talking about creating standards in your life and simplifying your life. Now, we had the simplification or the decluttering challenge a few months ago, and it was a huge hit. So we're going to do the declutter challenge again next month. So if you want to be part of that declutter challenge, you're going to get access to that program. So fabulous. And if you want to get in on all this content that I'm sharing with you publicly here, but you want to get it accessed first with a lot of cool extras, as well as one-on-one coaching with me, click the link in the comments, join us inside the 1 Degree Shift Tribe, and hopefully I will see you inside of the tribe. If not, I hope you have enjoyed this little mini class and this series of videos this month, and I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you very soon.